On Monday, Empire magazine put out an article that included a quote from Tony Gilroy that specifically stated that they did not use StageCraft at all in the upcoming series Andor, and my own reaction to that is basically, yeah, I can tell, in a good way. I think Andor looks excellent, and I think a lot of that is due to the fact that everything just feels more real. I'm having a lot of thoughts about the volume and StageCraft, both good and bad, so I thought, why not just turn on the camera and talk about it? Because I think the volume is amazing. I want to make that clear. It is incredible technology, and I think it's important. It's also very much within the Star Wars tradition of pushing the technology of filmmaking forward. For more of my thoughts on that, check out my review of the excellent docuseries Light and Magic, because I really loved it. There are shots in both seasons of The Mandalorian that fully had me tricked. I thought Werner Herzog's office was a set, for example. I also think the Book of Boba Fett had some crazy shots. The Halo-like space station that Din visits, where he walks down a street, gets into an elevator, and then comes out on a different floor, all in one shot. Amazing. The volume is wonderful, and the improvements we have seen between each series have proven that the technology is only going to get better. Except for when it comes to Obi-Wan Kenobi. That series took away some of the luster of the volume for me. Again, at times I thought it looked great. I thought Daiyu was the perfect use of StageCraft. But then some shots looked rough. Specifically Jabeam. Something about that planet just did not work for me. And I think I'm figuring out why that is. I said in some of my reviews that I could just feel the limitations of the volume. Like having what I would consider to be a small group of stormtroopers attacking Obi-Wan Kenobi and the members of the Path. It made a huge moment feel smaller because that's probably the safest amount of people you could fit inside the volume during a pandemic. So I was asking myself, why did I have no problem seeing the volume's use in The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, but I did with Obi-Wan Kenobi? Why did it feel so much more obvious to me? Part of it is probably because I'm getting used to seeing it, but also there are definitely shots in the other series where I knew what I was looking at, and I just didn't mind. But I think it's because The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett were kind of written and planned around the volume. They're pushing the limits of what they can do with environments like that space station I mentioned, or with creatures like the Krayt Dragon. I get the sense that they're writing their stories and their set pieces with the knowledge that StageCraft will be used. Obi-Wan Kenobi was written first as a film, then it was adapted into a series. I think the story was written more traditionally without any specific piece of technology in mind, but because the volume existed, that became the default. That became the tool to use, whether or not it was the right one for the job. Like I said, in some cases it worked great for me. Daiyu and the Fortress Inquisitorius had me immersed. They're huge, different environments that you kind of need that technology for. But when I see Jabeam, it's like it's supposed to be a big set that winds up feeling small. The trailers for Andor is a good reminder that not every Star Wars location needs to feel completely otherworldly. It's actually kind of funny that there are several shots that are just filming in a forest, which is like a classic fan film thing to do. But at least as far as I can tell, everything feels very sweeping and epic and big. They seem to be nailing the on-location stuff better than The Mandalorian did in its Tython episode, which is an episode I liked, but it felt like Planet California. Andor utilizing more sets and on-location stuff feels like it's elevating this series beyond my expectations. I am sure they used plenty of green screen, and I'm sure there are plenty of effects that I have not and will not ever notice. I'm not trying to make this video sound like that meme from when The Force Awakens was coming out, and everyone was chanting, "Real sets, real locations," as if that's the only way to make a film. And I'm trying to make it clear that I love the volume, but I am glad to see that StageCraft isn't being used across the board whenever possible for any situation. I'm actually shocked to hear they didn't use it at all for Andor. I kinda figured the Hammerman in the teaser trailer was shot on the volume. It wouldn't have surprised me to know any of the Imperial Senate stuff was on the volume. I just think there should be a balance, and to me Obi-Wan Kenobi used StageCraft when it maybe wasn't the best solution. I also want to make it clear that Tony Gilroy didn't say anything in the Empire article to suggest elitism. He wasn't trying to be all high and mighty and say StageCraft is beneath him. I don't think there's any of that going on. And I should also mention, I'm saying the series looks amazing, and I do think it does, but I'm reacting to like 4 minutes of footage. I could be eating my words come September, but those 4 minutes are doing a great job at selling me on the scope and scale of a story that will span 5 years and tell us how the Rebel Alliance came to be. This is a big story, and I'm glad it feels big so far. But what do you think of the Andor footage? How do you feel about the volume and its use in the future? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Andor coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.